On episode 80, I provided a brief introduction to Reiki. And on episode 35, I covered some research articles on the benefits of Reiki. On this episode, you'll meet Michael Tokarz, a Reiki master doing wonderful things. Welcome to the Peep Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Maroc, and I'm thankful you're here. The two big ideas behind the Peep Podcast are to show that the paranormal is more normal than most people think, and to connect the science to the psi, including ESP, psychokinesis, and intuition. On this episode, I'm introducing you to Michael Tokarz, a world traveler, teacher, and Reiki master who is fired up about the potential that Reiki has to change the world, and he's helping to open those doors. Let's dive in with Michael.
Well, I'm a bit of a storyteller, so
That's awesome.
I guess I'll start. I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Uh, in I believe it was 2001 or 2002. Um, my best friend, who I knew from university from the radio station, that's where we met. He ended up taking a certified massage training, and in that training was a Reiki one class. And he loved that so much, he kept going with the Reiki. And then he taught me and our closest friends. I took to it so well. I don't really remember any much about the early days, but that's how I got into it through my best friend. And then in 2005, this is all while I was living in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
Um, Before I moved to Seattle, my one of my other best friends gave me the master teacher training. And um, side note to that, when you get the master teacher training, you might not feel like you deserve the title, but I really looked at it as an anticipatory title. Um, and then yeah, moved to Seattle in 2005, lived there for 4 years, doing community events, mostly volunteering, different events here and there. Not really trying to make a big thing
Mhm.
out of doing Reiki or anything like that. It's just something I really enjoyed. And moved overseas, moved to kind of did a career change, moved to Asia to go teaching. Thought I'd do that for 3 to 5 years and then find something else. Turned out I love teaching,
Awesome.
and did that for 13 years before I came back here in 2023. Um, when I was living I lived in Korea in 2013, 2014. I had some clients there. Wasn't again not trying to, is when you live overseas, your visa is tied to your work. So,
Mhm.
depending where you are, it's very frowned upon or even illegal to take any other employment. So I was always keeping everything kind of just, I wasn't advertising
Yeah.
uh, much until I lived in Shanghai. I found some yoga studios that I liked and started cooperating with them, doing opening up classes, doing really community education first, um,
Mhm.
and then seeing if there was demand for classes, and there were, and I ended up training probably 60 or 70 people in
Wow.
Reiki while I was in Shanghai. And my last class there was I trained for Reiki master teachers because I thought it was really important to leave. Um, and when I was leaving the place, to leave other people that could do what I do there. And that's one of the great things about Reiki is that it's really accessible to anyone, and you can go as far as you want with it, as far as, if you just want to have a little tool in your pocket for yourself and your friends to help them feel better. You want to kind of use it as just something to make your meditation. Uh, help you hit that good spot in your meditation, drop you in a little faster, or if you want to kind of just see how far this energy extends and what you can really do with it in life. And that's my mission right now, or
Yeah.
that's part of the mission right now. That's part of the journey that I'm on.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you'd done so much world traveling. And it's cool because Reiki started in Asia, in Japan, and for you to take it back to a different part of Asia and leave some Reiki masters behind, like that can continue to spread it is kind of a full circle moment there. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
Asia is a big part of my journey. As far as, I love speaking Chinese. I would recommend going to another country for every single person. Um, Huge part of my development and just, getting different perspectives around the world.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, 10 of 10 would recommend.
Awesome. So, okay, just a side question, sidebar. What of the countries you lived in over there, and I'm food oriented when it comes to travel. Like, what was your favorite cuisine?
Ooh, I would say Yunnan in China, Yunnan cuisine or Sichuan cuisine. It's man, it's a tough call. Before I went to Asia, I didn't like spicy food at all, but I figured I was gonna need to learn to like it, and wow, I do. I don't want to do without it anymore. Um, so yeah, probably the most unique blend of flavors and ingredients can find in Sichuan Chinese cuisine.
So, is there anything here, like any restaurant here that comes close, or
Oh
are you
yeah, I wanna
forever?
I wanna shout out Sister Leo's shop in Chapel Hill over at the intersection of 40 and 501 for all you local triangle people. Yeah, she makes the real deal dumplings there. The
Awesome.
dumplings are the only things I've had there, and the soup is just so spot on. So and then whenever I go there, I get to speak Chinese with her, so it makes me really happy, and the food is just phenomenal.
I bet, I mean, you pretty much light up the room anyway when you walk into a place, but I bet when she gets so excited when she sees you coming in and speaking her language and excited about her
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, I don't think it's every day you see someone with my kind of, who looks like me, just speaking Chinese like I'm not fluent, but I can do a good impression for about a minute.
That's awesome. So, when did you end up in the Triangle area? Like, how long have you
That
been here?
was June in 2024.
Okay. And so you haven't been here that long, and you've already kind of made a place for yourself. So explain how you ended up working with the hospital, and in fact, one of the best hospitals in the region doing Reiki.
I had targeted this area. It was again storytelling. So going back to fall of 2022. I had just taken a new job in Shanghai. I had more classes than I was supposed to have, when I accepted the job. So I was just burnt out. I did a job search for Reiki on, one of the job sites, Indeed or whatever. And to my great surprise, a listing came up at a hospital in New York, about an hour and a half out of New York City. Um, I wrote up a cover letter, sent it, didn't really expect to get much, but I ended up getting an interview, and it was weeks scheduled out from, it was during the holiday times when I finally got the interview scheduled. It just gave me thinking about that just really gave me a goal
Hmm.
of like, oh my gosh, I could be practicing Reiki in a hospital. Are you kidding me? That's exactly what I want to do. Um, so the more I thought about it, the more focused I became, and I knew that was already going to be my last year in China. So I'd finish that school contract if I didn't get hired, or if I did get hired, I would leave right away and be, sorry guys, going to chase my dreams. I hope you
Yeah.
all do that too. Um, and so I didn't get offered the job. There was another position that came up in Charlotte, in the springtime, interviewed for that, didn't get offered the job. I think, well, of course, there's a big hole in my resume. I should try to fill that hole. So either I'll volunteer and I'll get some experience and be more competitive the next time that comes up, or I'll just create my own position. And UNC being a big organization, and also Duke being out here and Wake Forest, Wake Med, I
Hmm.
figured in all the athletics, which we'll touch on later, um, I figured I'll be able to find a niche for myself. And so before I left Shanghai, I kind of had the triangle in mind because of all those institutions. And
Hmm.
when I reached out to someone in the cancer program, in the comprehensive cancer support program at Lineberger, um, I made a phone call and it was green light all the way.
Awesome.
It was very well received. There's enthusiasm, and then it was just getting through all the admin part and all that jazz. So it was really, it was pretty smooth as far as, doors being open
Hmm.
or being able, like creating the doors and then opening them. I hope that answers that.
Yeah. So you came out and you started as a volunteer?
Yes, that's right. So I started it's the very last week of June last year.
Yeah. And now you are full-time employee or
No, not
almost?
full time. Um, Depending on what if the budget comes through next year, they could offer me up to 40 hours.
Awesome. So you came and you manifested a position for yourself at an excellent hospital for cancer patients.
Yeah, and part of why I chose this area, I mean, because there was the opportunities with Duke potentially, UNC potentially,
Mhm.
the other Wake and NC State, just like all the research around here, all the hospitals, all the
Mhm.
athletics. I thought there was a good chance, and also that if I was going to get volunteer experience anywhere, just something to put on the resume, uh, I want to have a top hospital on there.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
so yeah, I was, being a high school teacher for a while, I kind of became sensitized to college rankings, and I had never really cared about that before. But I also taught economics back there, and one of the things that you learn studying economics and also marketing in a way is that a college is a brand, or
Hmm.
university is a brand. So whatever your experience is on your CV, whatever certificates you have, that's also a brand in some way. So
Yeah. I
UNC, it's a really good fit.
Oh yeah. And I mean that's a university that's known worldwide. So yeah, you could not do much better than that. Um okay, so you you practice a different sort of Reiki, like a newer version of Reiki, is that correct? Like,
Yeah, I mean, newer. It came out. It's funny. It came out like it was a software update or something.
right?
Came out in 24, late 2013, early 2014. So I have been trained. My first teachers were all Usui Reiki
Hmm.
teachers. All my teachers since then have been Usui Reiki teachers. But there was this upgrade um, called Holy Fire that came out in 2014. I took a training class in that from a teacher in Middleborough, Massachusetts, right next to my hometown, in 27, it was 2017. And right after the class, right away, it was a pretty phenomenal experience. Um, in the attunement, as an attunement meditation. So there's nothing hands-on. It's just the energies doing all the work there.
Hmm.
And I felt like I got pushed back in the chair. like uh, imagine this light coming down. I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing this right. Maybe I'm doing this right. Maybe wrong, but we'll see what happens. Okay, just like imagine I'm coming into your heart, and then when it was like, and feel it entering your chest, and like I was pushed back into the chair.
Wow.
And like I like there's this like 20-pound plate, on me. Like suddenly I'd been to the gym and somebody dropped this weight on my chest. I'm like, oh my gosh. And from there, it was just wild. It's like, whenever I do Reiki, my hands would just light up right away. I could feel this amazing heat and electricity. And I thought, wow, this is really something. And um, so there's a lot of people doing that now.
Mhm.
That came out through William Lee Rand of the International Center for Reiki Training.
Mhm.
And he had studied, he can trace his lineage, back to Usui. And so all of us that are trained through William Lee Rand and the teachers that he trained can also trace their lineage back. So it's still Usui Reiki, in
Mhm.
my opinion, but it's just got this other name to help kind of differentiate this. Um, I don't want to say higher level energy, but this more. Um, I don't want to say
Concentrated.
stronger, but it really does. It feels to me, it feels a lot stronger. Um, Usually I'd tell people it's like, if you have an electric stove
Mhm.
and then you turn it on high, that's that was my Reiki before. It takes a little while for that element to heat up, but when it does, it's going. Um, Whereas the Holy Fire upgrade, it made it feel like a gas stove where there's a pilot light always on. So
Yeah.
whether you're got active hands, your intention is locked in, is on for a session, whether for yourself or for someone else, it comes up right away, or it also feels like it works in the background more.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's been a lot of, this good energy, a lot of these good shifts and these good changes that have happened in my life and happened for my students as well.
That's awesome. So are you teaching Holy Fire Reiki at this point?
I don't have any classes. I don't advertise for classes. How I did it in Shanghai before I was starting with the yoga studios when I was doing just personal classes. I kind of just wait for one or two people to express some interest, set up a date, and then start recruiting or advertising. Doing word of mouth is my favorite thing.
Mhm.
Um, as far as just getting involved in classes there. I'm open to having classes. I'm open to collaborations with really anyone. I'll do trainings for new teachers, and I've been doing Reiki for 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, so if there's anyone newer in Reiki or newer to teaching, I love to work with them because I feel like I have something valuable to add.
And I can tell that you do. So that's awesome. Um, yeah, and so I am Usui Reiki master, and then the lady that I took that training with about a year later did the Holy Fire attunement, and she has taken off. Like she now is full-time Reiki business, and just it's it does seem to like just concentrate is the word that I keep thinking of. Concentrate the energy so much more and really just power it up to a whole different level. And so that's something eventually I will probably do, but I've got so much other stuff going on right now. It's like it's not quite the right time. Like I'll know when
Yeah.
the time is right.
Yes,
Um,
all in good time. That's one of my mantras.
yeah. And it's yeah, when it because I my Reiki 1 class was in 1999, and I very quickly afterwards got engaged to somebody who was not comfortable with all of this stuff. So I let it go. And then it was around 2019, 2020, I started thinking, okay, I really should get back into this. And then I started the podcast and I was interviewing healers. And one of the people that I interviewed after the interview was over, mentioned that she was going to do 2, 3, and masterclass pretty soon. And I was like, I think maybe I want to take 2. Well, within like less than 6 months, I had taken all 3 and I was a master. But I have not taught, so I have a hard time calling myself a Reiki master. Like I'm at that level, but I haven't actually taught a class yet. So
Understood.
so it's, once you're a teacher, then you're really a master. But I've learned how to do the teaching. I just have not done it yet. And I don't think I've tapped into the right group of people who are interested. I have one lady who um I think she's already done advanced, so she just wants to learn how to be a master. But I do feel like I need to do that. That's going to push me to do more, I think. Anyway, it's a long story, and this is not about me, but we're just having a Ricky conversation, so it's all coming out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say if you haven't done the Holy Fire upgrade or that training, do it. It makes your classes even better
Okay.
because eventually if you want to get into larger classes, um, it means you can train multiple people all at the same time. I could have a room. It doesn't matter if it's 4 people, 8 people, 12 or 20. They all get the attunement at the same time. So instead of having to go one by one, spend 10 to 15 minutes with each person, it's that same 20-minute guided meditation where they're all kind of receiving that energetic attunement.
Yeah.
Placement or ignition is what it's called, depending on the level. Uh, so it makes classes a lot more efficient, and then it's also really fun because one of the things I like to do in class before I start class is, just put your hands together, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone listening, just do this right now if you want. Just put your hands together and just kind of notice, leave a little space and just
Mm-hmm.
observe what's there, and then try to like send some energy between the hands. Do you notice anything different? And then after the attunement, we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, try to keep it playful and see, what do you notice? That's
Yeah.
that's the difference. I really like to take that approach where it's not just like, just listen to the master and, do what he says and it should be this way, but like really, tune in for yourself to see what you notice. Because, not everyone responds to Reiki the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've talked to people who had like just incredible visions while they were getting the attunements. And then there's people like me who, mine's more subtle, but I just hands on Reiki on. Like it turns on really fast for me, but I never had those like incredible experiences that other people talk about where, they saw themselves in a past life or they saw it, you know, angels coming down. There's just so many different ways that people experience it. And none of them are, it's not that anybody's naturally better at it. It's just that that's what they need at that moment. That's the experience that they are supposed to have, and you're going to have the experience that you are supposed to have. And the more I've practiced, like I was doing distance Reiki for a friend who was trying to get pregnant, and I had a vision at that point with her holding up a baby girl to me saying, "Look what we did." And she ended up having twins, and one was a girl. And I was like, yeah, that Reiki's powerful. You had twins.
Wow.
I'm not really taking credit for that. But when she said, what do you think I'm going to have? I'm like, you're having at least one girl. I already know this. So it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's what I tell my students too, is that whatever experience you have is what you're supposed to have. It's the
Mm-hmm.
best thing for you. So, because I don't get all those things that you talked about, angels or visions or any of this stuff. Um, my students have. So it's a very kind of individual thing.
Yeah.
Um, and that's one of the things I love about it is you don't need to compare and say, oh, this person's better at that because or that person's better. We all have different gifts. Um, and I'm just lucky that I think maybe because I don't have all that other stuff coming in, and I don't know if it's like a really good shielding or protection or whatever you want to call it, or just that I'm just like coarsely sensitive instead of finely sensitive generally. Um, that I can work on 10 people a day.
Yeah.
I've worked the most people I've worked on a day was I think 15 at a music festival.
Wow.
And I wasn't tired at all. I didn't feel like I took on anyone's energy or anything like that. So I think that's part of the reason why I can, practice at where I do.
Yeah. That makes sense. And again, everybody's path is different. So my path is more about this podcast and introducing people to different healing modalities and letting people talk about their paranormal experiences and touching on the science. Like there are clinical studies that show that Reiki is helpful to people who are undergoing cancer treatment. And so that just when people say, "Oh, Reiki, that's woo woo," it's like actually no, there's clinical studies about Reiki, and it is one of the modalities that has been shown to be helpful. And even if it's just because you're helping the patient relax more, so their body can get into a more healing zone and heal itself, it's it's an important thing, and it's incredible that you are working at a hospital. Like it's a very important place to work. So that's your path, and you knew it and you manifested it, and it's happening. And because of that, you're going to be able to help so many people that otherwise wouldn't get help. Because somebody close to me a year ago was being treated for melanoma at UNC. And if obviously I was giving him Reiki, but he didn't have that option at that time because you weren't there yet. you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So like I am excited for all the patients that you are going to touch as you're on this journey.
Yeah, I've had probably about 80 to 90 patients so far. I've given well over, I'd say 120 treatments. So I've had a number of repeat patients, and they
Yeah.
they just keep coming back, and that's a really sweet thing to have when people are like, "Oh, like you're the best part of my week," or I always look
Aw.
forward to this, like to when I get to see you. I'm like, "Oh man." So as doing the volunteer, and in the months were kind of like stacking up, just waiting for the administrative part to come through for, because it was a new position.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a part of a big institution, part of, if you want to volunteer your way into a job, you got to know that there's going to be some, it's probably not going to go as fast as you'd like it to.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I'm getting a lot of like psychic and mental rewards. And plus, for anyone that's thinking about um, practicing more, whether it's on however you do it, volunteer. I would totally recommend volunteering, um, because I think it's really important. It was really important for me. I'll just speak for myself that um, I keep. I practice is like fair, like often on a regular basis. It's not just like, once a week at a Reiki share, or, a few times a month at a Reiki share, and then just work on myself. It's important to really keep that energy flowing because it
Mm-hmm.
will get better the more you do it. And part of why I chose this area, and UNC, was, UNC chose me, I chose them. But I also want to work with athletes. And so you never know when that opportunity is going to come up. So people that have, whether it's, athletes, student athletes, or pro athletes, or just people that are, weekend warriors, or they're
Mm-hmm.
they're doing their sports on the weekends or the weeknights, league, whatever they do. Um, I know I can help them recover from injuries faster. I know Reiki can help with that,
Yeah.
and so that's where I ultimately want to go. with Reiki, and being at the hospital is a really important step in that, and especially in a small town like Chapel Hill,
Hmm.
where Duke's right nearby, and people talk to each other. There's a lot of cross pollination between the two institutions, and I know I just get to meet the right people, and then what's the next volunteer? All right, see if I
Yeah.
can work with some student athletes, and see, kind of try to get a proof of concept, get some successes in that program, and then eventually end up working with those athletes, and then eventually end up working with pro athletes, and then Reiki will have its kind of, I imagine Reiki will kind of have its like Michael Phelps with cupping moment.
Yeah.
And then all the Reiki practitioners all around are going to have more people coming to them, and more people are going to be practicing, getting treated.
Hmm.
More practitioners are going to practice, teaching more classes, training more people. And then, you know, I think that's a whole part of this paradigm shift where what is paranormal becomes normal.
Yeah. And that's the goal here is get people talking about it so that it's not taboo to talk about it, and then proof of concept for modalities like Reiki, so that it's more accepted by science, and then eventually science is going to figure all the paranormal stuff out as long as we remove that taboo and scientists feel comfortable actually looking into it and not afraid that they're going to ruin their reputation academically by talking about weird things, quote unquote weird things, but it's stuff
Yeah.
that everybody experiences on some level at some point, something they can't explain, that those of us who pretty much live in this world day in and day out. Maybe we can't explain it scientifically, but it's like, yeah, no, that's a thing, and it's okay to talk about it, and we want to remove that taboo so that people, if they're curious about something like Reiki, they aren't afraid to ask for that. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's all coming together eventually, and you're definitely going to be one of the ones that helps get the word out.
Yeah, I love it. I tell everybody it's my favorite thing. I'm so lucky that I get to go do my favorite thing whenever I want to. And now I'm getting paid for it, at a mainstream institution. Um, about the science thing, I think about that a lot because I did give a presentation to the support program. There were like 40 people in the department on the call.
Wow.
Uh, and when I was researching it, I had so many studies that I could only pick like five. I think I only put like five studies into the slides, and I easily could have put 20 in there. And
Yeah.
so it's funny, and I'm sure you've had other people that you've talked to and had conversations with on here tell you something very similar. Where yeah, the data is out there, the studies are there, they're done,
Hmm.
and they're many of them are as rigorous as what gets reported in kind of the mainstream journals, and so to me, if you have a scientific point of view, you want to investigate. Okay, you got to start with some observations, and
Hmm.
then see if you can develop a hypothesis and test the hypothesis. Is it you go through the scientific method for real
Yeah.
instead of just saying, oh, well, this it can't be, and then not looking at the data,
Hmm.
not looking. So again, all these fields, we don't have a whole lot of research funding backing us, and there's certainly a huge amount of funding against it, if you
Right.
catch my
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
Um, and so I really feel like that's the word of mouth aspect is just Yeah, well, this is true. I think it's much more normal for people to have some kind of experience that they can't explain through kind of the reductionist paradigm than not. So,
Hmm.
who's on the minority side there,
Yeah.
and so just if you can free your thinking, to take up, what are the full possibilities here, and is there data to look at? I think if you look at it scientifically, this new paradigm's already here.
Hmm. Do you think that eventually UNC will do some sort of a study on your practice? Because
I that I think there's so many research opportunities, and I hope there will be some clinicians, some researchers, people that are skilled in study design, in administration, and all that to really investigate this, whether it's in terms of relaxation therapy, and I'm not so interested. I'm interested in doing all kinds of research. The Rhine is doing
hmm
great work
Oh
over
yeah,
there with their kind of like their mechanisms of action, and kind of studying the biophotons and all that it might be. Um, I don't, I'm up for research. I think UNC might do it. It's just a matter of finding the right people that are interested. Long
right.
story short.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it could do again, it could do a lot for the recognition of the modality. Like we said, there are already a lot of studies out there, but people don't know about them. But to have a study like that done at some place as prestigious as UNC hospitals, that could that could go a long way in helping.
Yeah, and that can help. I'm open to it, and also part of the path that I identified that I think is part of what's the best thing and the most fun thing that I can do
Hmm.
is to just have these individual success stories of like, oh, I healed my knee injury, which should have taken me 6 months to get back to full training form, or 6 months to get back to 100%, and actually got back to 100% in 4 months,
Yeah.
3 months, or whatever it might be. And so right now, because I've had some personal success with that, and I know other practitioners who have their own success stories, as well. But I really feel like, if there since there's a lot of good research out there, and yeah, there definitely could use to be more,
Hmm.
but it's getting, we don't have, who are we trying to convince if we get another study in a journal? Is
Yeah.
it going to be the 20 people that read the study? Well, I think for many scientific disciplines, if you do a high, you publish in a journal, yeah, you might get like 300 people or 500 people reading it. Um, but if you can have one athlete and they've got, how many thousands of fans, and they're like, oh yeah, I had great training staff and great recovery and used Reiki too, and people are like, what's this? And that happens over and over again.
Yeah.
I think that's more powerful than any one research study.
That's
But
true.
which is not to say I don't want to collaborate. I do want to collaborate with any researchers, and there are so many practitioners in this area, in the triangle.
Hmm.
We have a wealth of practitioners. We have a wealth of researchers. It's really a phenomenal area, and I think
Hmm.
it's really ripe for some fantastic research to be done.
I agree. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you about maybe taking a class from you or just talking Reiki in general, how would they do that?
Um, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Bluesky. So that's probably the best way to the. I respond on all those platforms. Probably Facebook the most because I have it open
Mm.
every day. Um, I just added Blue Sky because there's more people over there. So I want to be where the people are,
Yeah.
and I want to talk to people. I want to get in touch. And if there's anyone out there who, you want to learn Reiki, I'd be happy to teach you if you're in the area.
Hmm.
You can even do remote classes. And for anyone locally, I'm looking to start a monthly Reiki share in Chapel Hill, Carrboro, or Durham,
Okay.
since there's only one regular Reiki share. So I really want to introduce more people to this really wonderful modality. Anyone can learn it.
Hmm.
We're all natural healers, and this is just one way to, increase that ability.
Hmm. What's your handle on Blue Sky, Twitter,
Blue
wherever?
Sky, it's flow to the number two, flow to go.
Okay.
X Via Congaia, Vayacongaia. Instagram, open to flow. That was already taken on Blue Sky by the time I got there. So,
Yeah.
um, so open to flow on Instagram and Facebook. Open
Okay.
Mike Tokarz, Tokarz.
Open mic Tokarz. I like that.
Yeah, that was my nickname
Okay.
when I lived in Korea in Jeju because there were already so many Mikes and Michaels there. So you need to be some you need to have kind of a different name to be found.
That makes sense. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before I let you go? Because I know you actually have some Reiki stuff to do today.
Yeah, but later. I still got plenty of time. Um, so for anyone that's out there that's like, oh, I'd like to start a program, but I don't know where to start. Um, Target.
Target?
So yeah, like do some targeting. So for
Oh,
me,
okay.
I'll actually be talking about this. I'll be giving a talk at the Triad Reiki conference in April.
Okay.
Um, that goes into more detail about how I ended up at UNC and the processes that got me there. But say if you're in a different part of the state and you can there's hospitals everywhere, and so part of it is finding the specific department which you think you might be useful at,
Hmm.
and then going to volunteer services because I went to a couple different hospitals first, went to their volunteer services. They didn't really understand what I was
Yeah.
doing, so I didn't really get anywhere. Um, but then with UNC, I kind of found the department first, and then got in. Then they understood what it was about, and then was able to translate over that to volunteer services. So instead, target a department or an area, or it could be a veterans administration. The
Mhm.
VA has had success with Reiki programs, with Reiki therapy. So there's so many opportunities for Reiki out there, um, and just follow your passion. Like let the like follow what interests you and what excites you,
Mhm.
and that's how I got to UNC. And talk to people. Don't be too shy. I was shy for a while. But then I got to thinking, what's the best that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? The worst that can happen is a no, or
Right.
you get no response. And what's the best that could happen? Well, everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
And so, how good can it get? I think that is worth pursuing at any not any cost, but that's the thing for me that's most worth pursuing. So, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing that bad. What's the best that can happen? Well, Reiki goes mainstream,
Yeah.
and then I end up putting myself out of a job because
Right.
there's so many Reiki practitioners out there.
And I mean, it would suck to be out of a job, but everybody, the more mainstream we can make healing, the better this world is going to be.
Exactly. And I want to do my part in that. And Reiki is the thing that I can do best and that I know best. Hey, if I can, if I can learn something else and it comes out even better, I'm up for that. But for now, like Reiki is the thing for me. And, imagine a world where everybody is more empowered, um, and kinder,
Hmm.
happier, more relaxed, less stress, less anxiety. We know we can help each other. I know you can help you. I can help you. You've got power to help me. Everybody's kind of doing their things that they're best at.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's a good world. I don't mind. I'll go, tend to some apple trees or an apple orchard. I'll have some fruit trees. If that's the world where doing Reiki isn't special anymore, I'm here for it, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I am excited for you. Like when we first got introduced a few weeks ago, and I was told that you were in the process of having this position at UNC created, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I have to talk to him. So I'm really thankful that you took part of your Sunday out to have this conversation.
Well, likewise, thank you. I do have to like shout out and express my gratitude for all the people in that department
Hmm.
that I'm at and the integrative medicine people over there. They helped really create the fertile soil for me to kind of plant myself in there. And there are a lot of people that have been working for years in different modalities. And I think for me, it's important to really acknowledge that. And it's not
Hmm.
that, it's like, yeah, right place, right time
Yeah.
because of what is for. And, I'm so lucky and I'm such, I've benefited so much from that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I wish you good luck on all of this, and I know that this is just the beginning of more great things for you.
Well, thank you. It is, and if I have any more, if we get some research done, and I've got a study to tell you about, I'd love to come back
Oh, heck yeah.
and tell you all about it.
Heck yeah. Thanks again to Michael for sharing his story with us, and thanks to you for listening. If you are interested in sharing your own paranormal experiences, or if you have an idea for an episode topic, please reach out through the contact form at peeppodcast.com. That's PEEP podcast.com. Remember, that stands for People Experiencing Everyday Paranormal. While you're there, subscribe to my newsletter to keep up with the podcast and all my creative and energetic endeavors. I only email it once a month. You'll receive briefs on recent episodes, information on any upcoming appearances, plus some occasional fun extras. And, by the way, on our next episode, you'll hear about a great event I will be at in March. If you enjoy the podcast, please give it some rating love on your favorite podcast app, share it with friends, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Ratings, reviews, and shares help platforms like Apple Podcast and Spotify know it's worthy of surfacing to new listeners. And as we build our audience, we have more chances to hear their paranormal stories. A huge thank you to everyone who has given the show some love. You're helping it grow. No matter how you support the show, listening, telling others about it, or any other way, I absolutely appreciate your being here. Thanks again for listening. Stay safe and be well.